Welcome back. In this video, we are going to be discussing how to tune into your cravings and your hunger. We're going to be looking at why cravings happen, how to listen to your cravings, healthy swaps, tips for cravings that feel out of control, and how to decode the messages in your cravings. Your body is always sending you a message, and that includes cravings. And I find that once women learn the science behind their mood changes and certain cravings that they're having, it opens the door for compassion instead of shame. And then once that happens, that creates room for behavioral change and prevention and intervening when necessary. So throughout this video module, we'll be looking at all those things to equip you with ways to help yourself when you feel like you have out of control cravings, and then look at why they can happen. When we look at our chart and we're looking at the rising and the falling of hormones in our menstrual phase, which is your bleed, estrogen and progesterone both drop. And this can impact your mood and cravings because estrogen impacts a neurotransmitter called serotonin. Serotonin is that feel-good hormone, and so when estrogen drops, serotonin drops, and this impacts our mood. And then it becomes normal for our brain to want to fix that. And the reason that we often crave things like carbs and chocolate or feel-good foods is because our brains are looking to feel better because of the drop in serotonin and estrogen. In addition, we have progesterone that is dropping, and when that happens, we will experience lower energy and just feel more introverted. And so a combination of low serotonin and low energy will for sure impact our mood and lead to things like mindless eating or boredom or just feeling really wiped out. Some women become really self-critical during this phase, and I find that once you learn the science behind why your mood changes happen, it creates space for curiosity, and then, like I said, it helps you intervene. If you find this is a factor for you and you have extreme cravings, I really want to encourage you to just acknowledge that it's normal and it's okay. But I will also give you some options for healthy swaps, and just as a reminder, your hormones are literally dropping, so it makes sense to crave certain things, it makes sense to feel more introverted, and it makes sense to have a lower mood. So here are some tips for some cravings. Number one, have what you're craving, but opt for a healthier option. And then make sure that you're getting good sleep, because here in a minute we'll talk about blood sugar spikes and drops and how it influences your mood and your cravings. Here are a few options for you that can be helpful. These are balanced snacks, specifically chocolate bone broth. It contains essential amino acids, and it is a great way to keep your blood sugar balanced while also providing you with micronutrients, protein, and healthy fats. Another supplement that can help with cravings, but it's not a long-term fix, is L-glutamine. You can add L-glutamine to hot chocolate, and it's just a way to curb your cravings if you feel like they're completely out of control and completely wrecking your life each month. You can add in some L-glutamine to regain control of those cravings. And then the Organifi chocolate is a pre-made blend that tends to be really helpful to curb that sweet tooth. Glycine is an essential amino acid, and it tastes sweet, so you can add it to smoothies or beverages, and again, it just provides you with some extra nutrients. And I did want to talk about blood sugar spikes, because blood sugar spikes and crashes are one of the main culprits behind cravings and that dreaded hangry feeling. When you eat a meal that spikes your blood sugar, or you go too long without eating in between meals and you're trying to function on high amounts of caffeine and an empty stomach, you will often get hangry, and it's because of your blood sugar. When you eat a meal that spikes your blood sugar, for example, your body will anticipate that spike and send out insulin to offset the high glucose. And what happens is that sometimes your body will overcompensate for the glucose, and it will send out too much insulin, which will then result in a crash. And when your brain senses a crash, it will send signals for energy, and the quickest form of energy is a sugar or simple carb. And so that's often why people will go and get something sweet that they're craving around like 2 or 3 p.m. is when they're having that blood sugar drop. Specifically, if you have something really carby in the morning for breakfast, your blood sugar tends to not balance throughout the day, and so you'll get those plummets, and it will lead to cravings. By focusing on structuring your meals and your snacks in a way that promotes blood sugar balance, it will also in turn help curb cravings and avoid afternoon crashes. And then another reason to manage stress is because stress will impact cortisol, and when you have high elevations of cortisol, it will impact your blood sugar, and it can lead to blood sugar spikes, which is one of the reasons behind stress eating, because the spike in stress hormones can trigger cravings, and you will reach for the closest sugary snack or treat. So having a better system for stress management will also help keep your hormones in check and then keep cravings away. I've had women tell me that just by simply adding minerals to their diet, their cravings went away. Your body is always telling you something, and sometimes when you are depleted from running on stress hormones for too long, your body will start to crave things because of the impact it has on your blood sugar. So just wanted to take a note of that. And then I did want to mention some other specific cravings that can send you messages, and specifically around craving salty foods. This is often related to hormone imbalances or cortisol issues. And when your body is under a lot of stress, I mentioned it releases cortisol and other hormones, and some people will crave salt to the point where they feel more energized and normal and less exhausted if they have more salty food. And this is often due to a struggle with adrenal imbalances and suboptimal levels of cortisol. Sodium, I know that we're often taught to fear sodium, but sodium is an essential electrolyte and it is so essential for everyday life. Yet because it's so demonized today, a lot of people will undereat sodium. And because sodium has an impact on potassium and all your other minerals, it can lead to a lot of deficiencies, and so people will crave salt. Then craving sweets could indicate that you have serotonin imbalances. It could also indicate that you need more magnesium, and can sometimes be a sign of candida overgrowth. These cravings can also indicate blood sugar imbalances, anxiety, restlessness by the lack of minerals like magnesium or B vitamins. Sometimes simply adding in more magnesium can help curb sweet cravings. And then alcohol, like specifically red wine, if you find that you're just craving it, is often related to candida overgrowth. And the reason is because drinking alcohol perpetuates an overgrowth of yeast, and candida will tend to make people abuse alcohol simply because their body is craving it so much. Candida disrupts crucial neurotransmitters in the brain like dopamine and serotonin, and is often the root of alcohol addiction. So this could be worth looking into if you're constantly craving a glass of wine or beer, and then obviously looking at your emotional factors as well. Citrus can be an indication of low iron or issues with digestion, and meat, if you're craving a lot of meat, can possibly mean that you are anemic or also low in iron. And then just a reminder, you cannot out supplement lifestyle habits. So if your lifestyle habits are out of check, like you're having lack of sleep, if you're eating unbalanced meals, if you're dehydrated, running on stress hormones, if you're struggling with insulin resistance, skipping meals, if you're emotionally eating, under eating, or not eating enough fats, those can all worsen cravings. And so just a reminder, you cannot out supplement lifestyle changes. And taking these all into consideration, looking at your cravings with curiosity instead of shame can really do wonders. You might be surprised at what you learn about your unique body and its wisdom and needs when you stop looking at your cravings as something to be ashamed about, but start looking to them as messages. So just a reminder that our bodies are always sending us a message. Sometimes it is just a matter of us listening.